Hey babes, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'll be sharing my birthday makeup tutorial, and it's a very simple glowy look. It made me feel like that girl. Just wanted to share with you because it's a highly requested makeup tutorial, and if you're wondering who requested it, just mind your business and let's get into it. Because the first things first, prepping the skin. So I put on a little bit of lip balm. Before this, I didn't record this, but I also put on some Good Molecules Yerba Mate Wake Up Eye Gel. It's only $5 to get into it. And then I put on some e.l.f. primer. I think it's the Power Grip primer from e.l.f., which is also $5, super cheap and super simple. Next, you can see me color correcting, which will make sure that the actual foundation base is flawless once you actually get into that. This was LA Girl Pro Concealer. This is what we all used to use back in the day, super cheap. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So as you can see, I'm just blending it out to make sure that my skin looks even under the foundation. Next up for my foundation, I grabbed Fenty Beauty Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint in 24, as well as the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. In the shade 480, I put that right on my skin. I did have a little bit drop on my eyebrow, which is why I was cleaning it up. And then grabbed my Morphe foundation brush and just blended that all in. It's a little bit, I sped up this video a little bit, but I usually would just like tap it in and blend it in smoothly. Not as quickly as this because you got to take your time out with this. It's soft glam. You don't need to be beating your face for real. You need to be just blending it softly. And make sure you have a nice R&B, gospel, Afrobeat, some type of playlist that will really just ginger your spirit so you can blend this out properly. Can't rush with this. And honestly, the only tip you need to know throughout this whole thing is blend. When in doubt, blend. If you think you're done blending, continue to blend. Blend, 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 blend. That's all I'm going to tell you. Blend, 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 blend. You think you're done? Blend some more. Because that's really the key to makeup. You think you're done? No, you're not. Blend. Your makeup will embarrass you, so you always have to make sure that even when you think you're done, blend some more. So here I was just highlighting my face. First off, I used a more so neutral color, which would be like a transition color between my foundation and my bright eye, which was simply the e.l.f. 16-hour camo concealer in the color cocoa, rich cocoa. And then I grabbed the Too Faced multi-use sculpting concealer in chestnut and chai here. So I used it from like a gradient. I used it in a kind of a gradient color. So my neutral color that's closer to my shade towards the back corner of my eye, and then the brighter colors towards the front. Then I grabbed my contour, which is a Fenty Beauty matchstick in caviar, just to define my cheekbones. And here I was blending it backwards. Ask me why, I don't know. I saw a makeup girlie do it, and you know, when the makeup girlies do it, you just gotta do it too. You don't ask questions. So here, as you can see, I got the Morphe contour brush and just blended it back into my hairline. And as you can see, when we blend back into our hairline, it just blends a bit more smoothly versus if you blended in the opposite way, you would have a bit more of a harsher line. And then I grabbed the e.l.f. Camo Concealer once again, and then I wanted to define my contour a bit. Here's an important step: grabbing a fan and drying out your concealer. This allows the concealer just to blend more. When it's more liquidy or moist, it doesn't move the way that you would need it to move. So when it dries out, you have a more coverage. And then I grab Morphe's concealer brush and just continue to blend from light to dark. That way you get that like gradient effect where it's not a harsh bright under eye. And then I also blend in my concealer on my forehead. I try not to spread it out too much because I have a big forehead and I try not to make it look too much bigger. So that's why I kind of placed my contour in an area that would make my forehead look a little bit smaller and just light up the areas that would complement the size of my forehead. And as I blend, I blend also above my upper lip, below my lips, as well as I place some concealer on my eyelids. I didn't have primer. I'm not like eyeshadow girly. I usually just throw some bronzer on my eyelids, which I did today too, but I did in a way that was cuter today. So Yeah, like I said, I just continue to blend everywhere and make sure it looks as smooth as possible. Again, you don't want that harsh look, but one tip here is to blend your concealer upwards so you can have more of like a snatched eye. Your eye, it just brings the face of your shape, the shape of your face, a little bit higher, so your face just looks a bit more snatched. Then I grab my contour stick again and then just blend a little bit of my nose. And kind of create those arches on my nose. Once again, I just grab my concealer brush and then define my contour a little bit more. Again, this is just to give that more of a defined snatch look. And then continue blending. Once again, I said before, when you're in doubt, just continue to blend. So you see me multiple times just blending with different types of brushes. I used the sponge as well, just to kind of clean up a little bit. I do believe that sponges kind of soak up a bit more of the makeup products, so I try not to use as much unless I really just want to kind of mute a look a little bit. Next, I grab liquid blush, which is from Juvia's Place. It's this kind of highlighter blush, so it makes my cheekbones look super bright. And this color is Perky Poppy Glow, and then I just blend it upwards. So here, I don't just blend it just to my cheeks, but I bring it up to the sides of my forehead, my temples, and this just gives that continuation of the blush. I love blush. I'm such a blush girly, but I added too much. So again, to mute the look a little bit and to make it blend more into the contour, I grabbed the sponge and then just blend out those edges to make it look more smoother, and applied a little bit more because I didn't want it to be too muted. So here's the biggest tip I have when doing a bright under eye, and don't ever tell me that I never told y'all. This is my biggest secret for doing a very well blended bright under eye look. Grab your foundation brush and blend out the edges of your concealer. So it's everywhere, not just under your bright under eye, but the concealer on your forehead and on top of your upper lip. So my upper lip tends to be a bit darker, so I don't force that like bright concealer look. I tend to just blend it and mute it down with my foundation brush. And then I blend out the corners of my blush and my contour as well, just to give that really blended, flawless look. Like I mentioned before, blend, 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 blend. You don't just use one type of brush here, but you would use like your foundation brush to kind of bring together all those colors. And then next up here, I used a Fenty concealer. This is the Pro Filter Concealer Instant Retouch Concealer in the color 390. And this is just to give that like extra bright look on the very, very inner corners of my under eye. And then again, I let that dry out a little bit and then blend it out from the inner corner to the outer corner. Again, trying to bring it up to give that like snatched look on top of my concealer. Also, that blending the corners of your concealer with your foundation brush, I saw that a few years back from a influencer. I don't remember her name, but shout out to you, girl. Thank you, girl. And then again, I just continued to blend. I brought up my concealer again to make my eyes look more snatched. And then now I grabbed my powder, and this is the Laura Mercier translucent loose setting powder in medium deep. This is my holy grail product. I try to put everyone onto this because I love it. If you want a really good, like, if you don't want, granted your under eyes are gonna crease because you just got folds in your under eye. Some people can, like, make that disappear. I'm gonna be realistic with y'all. This is gonna get you that like very flawless under eye look. And so I put it on my under eyes, on my forehead, everywhere that I put concealer, put it under my contour just to make it look more snatched. And then I grab my bronzer. This is Juvia's Place Bronze, I don't know. It's in deep dark, and I grab the darkest shade, and I use my powder contour brush or my bronzer brush from Morphe. And then everywhere that I put my liquid contour, that's where I place this powder, just to, bring those colors out a little bit. Put it under my jawline, just blend, 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 blend. And then here's my eyeshadow hack for the girlies who don't know how to do eyeshadow. So again, grab that same bronzer, but this time you grab the lighter color, and then I place it in the inner corner of my eyelid, and then I just pat it down there. So if you don't know how to do eyeshadow, you don't like rub it in, you tap it in. And so I do that in the inner corners, and then I grab the darkest shade and put it on the outer corner. And then I found a transition color, which is like a brownish redder color, and then I blended the middle. I then proceeded to grab this shimmery color that I found in one of my Juvia's Place eyeshadow. I don't know what they're called, palettes. Oh, they're called palettes. And then I put it in the inner corner. I don't think it did too much, but then I grabbed another like fluffy brush and then used that like again lighter bronzer color and then just blended that out a little bit. Here, I wanted my eye to pop out a little bit, so I grabbed the darkest shade from the Juvia's Place, the Warrior 2 eyeshadow palette, and I lined my eyeline and waterline. And here's a hack I got from my friend using a triangle powder puff and then holding your under eye while you line your waterline and eyeline, and it doesn't mess up your bright under eye, which I love. Grab the brush, which I use to place the darker bronzer on my eyelid, and then use to just contour my nose once again. And then I grabbed another smaller brush, grabbed the Laura Mercier powder, and just kind of cleaned up my waterline a little bit. Next, I grabbed my powder blush from Juvia's Place. This is the Afrique blush, and I think it's in Bella. And then I just kind of went over that blush area. I like to smile when I place my blush just to get the highest cheekbone to make sure I'm not missing anything. I then grabbed my Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Powder Foundation in 470 and then kind of just went over the areas under my contour and then over my upper lip just to kind of make sure that blends in smoothly. I then grabbed my Huda Beauty Loose Baking and Setting Powder in Blondie and then used the same triangle powder puff. I know, ew, but who cares? It's all just gonna mix and melt together really well, and then place it on all the areas where I placed the previous powder. My under eyes, my forehead, my nose, my upper lip, and just everywhere else. I then once again grab the bronzer, just continue to blending in. I don't want anything to be muted. By this powder, it is more of a light powder. It's going to give you that filter effect. Once you place it on your face, it just kind of blurs everything. I then grab an eyebrow crayon pencil from Sephora in a dark color and then just fill in my eyebrows. Before I started my makeup, I'd used the e.l.f. brow lift in the clear gel to brush out my eyebrows and make sure, give it that like soapy look. Here I used a little bit of concealer, the e.l.f. Camel color, that's like that neutral color, to kind of just clean up my eyebrows. I don't like it to be too bright, that like bright halo effect on my eyebrows. I like it to look more so blended. I then just go in again and keep like just correcting my eyebrows. I then take my Morphe foundation brush and then I grab the lighter bronzer shade and just kind of place that all around my face, just to kind of again continue to blend everything. Like I said before, blend, 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 blend. You think you're done blending, you're not. Continue to blend. I then grabbed the smaller powder brush from Morphe just to place again some of that light translucent powder from Huda Beauty on my under eyes, just make sure like it's really giving that bright under eye look. I then grabbed the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray and sprayed it all over my face. This is the MVP here. We love her. Sion. I then just kind of pressed my lashes together. I did them earlier. Let me know if you want a tutorial on this. I did a half look, so I placed the lashes halfway up my eyelashes or my eyelids or whatever, and I put mascara on the other half. I'm just gonna give it that natural effect. And then here I was kind of playing. I spritz a little bit of MAC Fix It Stay Over spray in the air, then I walked into it. I didn't want too much of it. I didn't want it to be matte, but I wanted this just my makeup to still stay, long for a long while. And then I grabbed, the brushes, kept blending. And then here I grabbed my MAC lip liner. I don't know what color it is because I lost it. Please pray for me that I find her because she is cute. I love her. So just pray for me, guys. And then I placed the Fenty Beauty Cream Gloss. This is in Cookie Jar. It's so cute. And I just love the way it looks. So I placed that on and pressed it in with my lips and then did some finishing touches on my hair. If you like a tutorial on this hairstyle, you're not going to get one because I got stressed out and I stopped recording. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, if you find that your makeup is a bit bright and you're not sure why it doesn't look right, just allow it to sit for 20-30 minutes. Most foundations will oxidize, especially once you put that setting spray on. And just make it look good. And you're going to look like this. Just look at that slow-mo action. Come on now. Wow. Hide your man. Hide your fathers. Hide your grandfathers. Come on. Cheekbones, jawline. Look at that smile. Yeah, she brushed her teeth. Yeah, she got a toothbrush. Come on now. Get that little spin. That song Brown Skin Girl was about me. Yeah. And this is what I look at the end of the night. Soft glam was soft glamming. But if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know if you like more of these.